mapping subcommittee meeting to order. We'll start off by taking roll call. We have, I guess, start with you, Dr. Harris.
Marshall Ogier.
And is that it? Okay. And so we have Ms. Brookhyman absent, and who else are we missing? Okay, and Kermit Moore missing. We don't have an agenda for this meeting, but I'll open it up with a mapping overview from Dr. Harris.
Thank you, Ms. White. So, considering this is the first meeting that we're having, I think we just need just a little bit of housekeeping and get some organization. There were a few things that I thought that we needed to address, and I guess we'll be brief today and finish early. I think we need to discuss between ourselves, even though it's just a few of us here, how we want to go forth on sunshining our meetings, which I have some ideas about that. How do we think the community members need to submit maps, if in fact people from the community would like to submit maps as well? What are going to be sort of the cutoff, sort of milestones for developing those maps? And who will receive the community maps? Will they come to the city council's website? Will it be email? So I think that's something that we may have to work out with mapping. But we did want to have some kind of process by which people from the public could submit their maps. So those are the top things that I think, and I want to start with the sunshine issue, because I think that's been the difficulty of scheduling meetings. I suggest that we continue with sunshining through the council. However, I think we also, council staff, but I think we should also sunshine our own meetings so that we're not, if something happens and those meetings don't get scheduled by council staff, we can go ahead and proceed with our meetings. So I'm just going to suggest that maybe we can kind of mull that over for the next meeting and kind of make some kind of decision on that, since there's not many people here.
Quick question, do we know when we're going to meet next? I'm thinking that the best thing to do is for us to just go ahead, since we're on such a limited schedule. My thought is that we need to go ahead and try to get everybody on one accord and pick out some additional dates going forward, because it's like we already have a limited amount of time. And like you said before, redistricting and going over maps is not something we'll be able to do efficiently on Zoom. So we need to really just go ahead and get our date scheduled, and we won't even have a sunshine issue because they can just go ahead and publish all of our meeting dates.
Okay.
Is my thoughts.
So, OJ, you got any issues with that?
That works for me. I got my whole calendar whenever you can.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we, I guess, tentatively schedule for us to sunshine our meetings for Thursday? And evenings work better because we need to have a few hours of uninterrupted time. And I know everybody's got things going. You may have court, you may have things going on, business going on during the day. Mm-hmm. If we could perhaps schedule those meetings for Thursdays. Let's just go ahead and schedule. We'll put it on the books now for at least every Thursday, and we'll probably have to do a working session at some point over the weekend where we have 3 or 4 hours where we can actually basically have sort of a working retreat, so to speak, when we really delve in and when the maps start coming in and we actually start proceed with mapping itself. So Thursdays?
That works for me. What about you, Mr. OJ?
It'll work most Thursdays. I'm also on the Binghamton Advisory Committee for the 5th.
Okay.
From 4 to 5.
So even if you have to miss that, can we go ahead and schedule it for Thursdays? And we're probably going to need another day as well, but I don't want to, I guess, shoot from the hip now. We're going to have another meeting on obviously Monday with the whole group. So it gives us a few days to do that. We'll go ahead on at that point and sunshine for every Thursday. Both ways, we'll do it through the council staff, and then we'll sunshine ourselves. Also, I would suggest that we meet outside of council chambers so that we can, create an environment for the public that they don't have to worry about coming downtown and parking, et cetera, that we'll have it at a public location to be determined. NAACP has already agreed that we could have meetings there. I was going to look at maybe having one at my church. It doesn't have to be any one of the places I just named, but I think as a public group, and since we were brought in to kind of bring the public in, we ought to do this in sort of out in the public and not necessarily here in council chambers. That's my own personal opinion, unless y'all have any objections.
What time?
These meetings should be from 6 to 8.
You mean the Thursday meetings from 6 to 8? Okay. Are you on the mapping subcommittee as well? Oh, okay. Well, you want to come up and join us? Okay, and I was supposed to say, so could you tell me your name again so we can mark you as present? Thank you so much, Mr. McKinney.
Dr. Charles McKinney.
Dr. McKinney, thank you for that correction. That's very technical. That's very, very important. Well, if we have no more discussion about the next meetings, you want to go to the next topic?
The only thing I would say about the meetings too. There we go. If I don't care if we meet in the evening, I don't prefer the evenings, but if people are busy during the day, that's fine. But if people are also not busy during the day, meeting during the day also works for me.
What we can do is we can put those dates out there in an email, like the Thursdays, and then honestly, you all, just based on the schedule that we're on, I'm anticipating we're gonna need a lot more dates, and we're gonna need some longer meetings than an hour or probably even 2 hours. So I think everybody's gonna have to look at their schedule so we can come up with those dates and times where people are gonna be able to sit, focus, and really take the time that's gonna be needed to do this. But what I'll do is I'll send out the email to everybody on the subcommittee, the mapping subcommittee. And I'll also get my assistant to develop one of those little calendarly things where people can just click on availability, and that way people don't have to just respond with their availability. They can just do it on the calendarly. What was your next item, Dr. Harris?
No, I just kind of want to give the group just a little bit of homework, some things to think about. How do we want community members to submit maps? Because we may start receiving maps from folks in the community that may have some mapping expertise or some idea about a map drawn based on whatever criteria they use. Obviously, whatever the final outcome is will be approved by the city council, so that may or may not mean it's going to get approved, but it gives everybody an opportunity to submit their stuff. So how they're going to submit those, what are the cutoff times? So if we set that to be whatever before our next meeting or whatever meetings we're having, and then who will receive those? And that's a touchy one because of the sunshine issues. So that's probably, this is just more or less homework for us to kind of think about. And then lastly, what type of criteria rubric that we might want to think about. I've got something that I'll share in the next meeting and pass out that I've used before and that we can, I guess, expound upon or add or subtract from.
Well, let's do those one at a time.
Okay.
So let's split it up. The first thing was community maps.
Yeah.
I would think that's something we probably would need to discuss with the communication subcommittee as to how they've decided to communicate with people. the only thought that comes to my mind about that is timing. I mean, we're already on a time crunch. I don't know. I'll defer to everybody else and your thoughts on it. I don't know how feasible it is to get notice and then maps and then for us to review those maps. I mean, I don't really know what that looks like in a timeline.
I think that's one of the reasons why I'm asking, like, what's going to be the cutoff? So if people want to submit maps, we can say, community, submit your maps by March 9th or whatever. We can just have a cutoff date. And then that gives us enough time, and then obviously they might give mapping some time to take a look at it. If it's not going to work, we'll know pretty quickly if the numbers are wrong and it doesn't meet the legal requirements of a map. So I think we can just give a date, and then that'll be it.
Any other discussion about that?
Do we need to specify what the formatting for those maps is going to be too, like whether they're in GIS or whatever mapping needs, or can they be submitted however, and then we'll deal with whatever format they're in?
That's your homework. So yes, because it's going to have to be in a GIS format in order for mapping to be able to generate it and then take a look at it. And then obviously whatever's printed off, we're going to defer the printing of the maps off, obviously, to city mapping. But they can submit shape and or layer files in for their maps. But we just want to have a cutoff time. In my view, we give the community an opportunity to put their ideas on the table. We just give a cutoff time and a process for how they should do it.
So then tentatively, our next meeting it will be next Thursday, which would be, what is that, March 1st? March 2nd. What's our deadline?
Got moved up pretty far, right?
Maybe we can find it out Monday. We have the full committee meeting Monday.
Yeah, we need to figure out the other deadlines. And what we may need to do is for items like that is maybe communicate. Well, I guess we can't really communicate via email about it.
We can communicate about scheduling via email, basically.
Yeah, that's it. We may need to schedule a tentative maybe Zoom meeting for Tuesday, I would say, to discuss the community mapping plan, because I think that may need to be done. What are you about to say?
From my notes from the last meeting, the hard deadline is March 31st. If you could get it in a week earlier, that would help the city council do their 3 reading.
Thank you. Perfect. So then March 31st is a Friday. The week before would be March 24th, which means yeah.
So I think Mr. Blinken.
Yes, sir.
An option for you, the question about how the community can provide maps to this subgroup. You may want to discuss with Mr. Bacchus about setting up an email address here at the City of Memphis that council has access to, which they can then forward to either the rest of the subcommittee or myself or whoever you guys decide you want that data forwarded to. But then you have a central point of that the community can email those maps to.
Great idea. Thank you.
Would the maps that the subcommittee generated also be submitted that way?
That would be up to y'all.
I don't see any reason why not. So if we've got one central way to submit, whether it comes from the community or us, because we are the community, then we just submit that way.
That'll also help with any future Freedom of Information Act request. So if some point in the future after it's all been decided, if someone comes back and requests, well, what was everything that was submitted to the committee? It's all stored in a central location via the email.
That was a great idea. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask you, Ian, in terms of the communications committee, what, if any, things, modes of communication have you all come up with for letting the community know? Like, what have you all come up with anything yet?
Some of the things that we talked about, of course, was just going through the regular city council and advertising.
We also did have on that subcommittee a question about what specific resources the city could use to get the word out, right? So, for instance, election commission, other venues, right, to talk about the redistricting process, to talk about, hey, information sessions are going to be held here, here, and here, and here. So that was a specific and particular question that we did have.
So what I'm thinking is, and I need to make sure we're allowed to do it, but I think Ian said we are. I would think that we pick a date, and we pick a date like immediately. And then we go ahead and send out a press release. And we'll reach out to Mr. Backus and get that email address and see if we can get it tomorrow. And if we can get it tomorrow, we can draft a press release. Any thoughts? So let's go ahead and pick a date. What date do we think we need to put as the deadline for submission of any community maps? Our deadline, hard deadline March 31st, best deadline March 24th.
7 days before that.
Which would be March 17th. Keep in mind that today is Thursday. No. Okay. All right. So then March 17th.
For maps to be submitted.
From the community.
When are we going to review them and discuss them? That following week, like the 20?
So I would think we would encourage folks to get those in as early as possible. So the 17th is the hard date, but we should encourage people to have it in even a week before that if they can. But I mean, we're running up on timelines now. It's going to be kind of tough to tell them to have it next week. And it may be people that are working on maps now, they probably could submit something. I'm sure there are people out there working on maps. I'm almost certain it is. But 17th would be the hard deadline to actually submit. But we greatly encourage, for lack of a better phrase, that you get it in as soon as possible if that makes sense. Dr. McKinnon.
Yeah, question just in terms of your experience with this in the past. Do you have a sense of, I guess maybe that's the last time we did this, right? How many maps did we get from the community? About legions of maps or just a few or somewhere in between?
So this is the first time that I know of that the city council maps have been, I guess, developed and community input like this has been put in place. When I worked on the county project, we had, I believe, 2 maps that came in from the public. And each time that my group, we created a map, we placed it on a website for the public to see and allowed them to be able to put their address in and search to see where they would fall on it. So at least the last process, I think, was 2. I don't think this process has ever been done this way before. That's probably why we count it similar. It's different.
Right.
But I would suspect we wouldn't get many because the information is going to be sent in electronically. It's not like somebody's going to send in something drawn on crayon. They're going to send in something. Well, they could. If you can draw a legal map with crayon and it passes the council, then that's the map. However, since that's not likely to happen.
Love to see that.
Yeah, I know. But the shape and layer files will go to mapping. And so again, I'm sure there are people working on this because that's why this was such a push to make this a public thing. So we could get 5. I don't know what we're going to get. But if they don't pass legal muster, if somebody drew them like with crayon, then obviously, if it's a no good map, we'll know right away.
Right, okay.
So right now, we're looking at March 17th for the deadline for community maps to be submitted, and a press release to the public with that date. And we're going to get Mr. Backus to set up an email for the community to submit those maps to. I'm wondering, today is Thursday. The whole committee meets Monday. Okay. Okay. Yes. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why I said that's fine. We'll discuss it on Monday. So we'll bring that up. It's our report. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I kind of had it as homework, but at least we worked it out. So if we get in the meeting, folks start asking questions, we have worked it out.
Yeah.
We can make an intelligent answer to the question. So that answers the who and the what. Well, the who and the when, or the how and the when, I'm sorry. I think the criteria stuff, I think we can do that in the full meeting too. So I just wanted the folks that's on this committee to just kind of have some homework, something to think about when we get there. Since we can't meet together, individually we can come up with our own ideas about and what potential criteria we'd like to see in a map. So just be thinking about that so when we get to the meeting with everybody there, we can kind of share.
What I was going to ask is, I know you said that at our next meeting you were going to share kind of a rubric you came up with. Is that something that you can share with us like before our next meeting? Yes, but I'll send it. I'm trying not to run afoul of the whole sunshine thing, so I guess I could send it out. That's why this whole new email thing that we're going to ask Backus to give us is going to work, because anything we do, we can just send it there, whether it's a map, whether it's a rubric, we can send it there, everybody gets it, no sunshine issues. So yes, I can send it out, but it'll have to go to everybody. Is that all you have? Does anyone else have any other matters, any further discussion? So as of right now, our next meeting will be next Thursday. And our total meeting of the whole redistricting committee will be Monday. Location will be TB. We'll have a location by Monday. Okay. So the location to be announced for the Thursday meeting. Let's look at the calendar. 23rd. You may be heard. Yeah.
Mr. Atkins, 62 North Main Street, Memphis, Tennessee. The question I have to ask is, as y'all drawing these maps, what exactly you're actually doing in the community of those different districts? What are you actually remapping?
So let me see, can I answer this? I'm probably not gonna give you a real good answer, because this is the first time that, at least in my memory, that the city council maps have been developed and drawn publicly like this with a subcommittee of community members. So this is sort of new. One of the things we like to do is, one reason why we would like to, and that's why we talk about tentative on the location, we would like to take at least some of the deliberations we're having out, run out of time, we don't have a whole lot of time, out in the community so people can see the decisions that we're making and why. So to answer your question, I guess specifically is we're trying to be as transparent as possible. The fact that we are considered a sunshine sort of operation, for lack of a better phrase, has made it difficult for us to be able to meet. So the best we can do at this point is try to have some of our deliberations in public, in the community, not necessarily here.
Correct. So again, the question is, you answered part of that, but being transparent is that the information that this committee was meeting was never publicized in a newspaper or publicly by email. So this is really kind of a secret meeting for the public, even though it's an open public forum. Only how I found out about it because I knew some council people would be here, and that's the reason why I'm here. So this was never an open public forum noticed in the paper or by email or by any notification that anyone that's a part of Memphis Shelby County can attend this meeting. It was never noticed. How come that wasn't?
This meeting was noticed. We gave 48 hours notice of this meeting. Where did you say you didn't see it, or what was it that you didn't receive?
Have you seen it? Can you explain to me where the notice was actually published at?
It should actually be on the City of Memphis's website.
And you can pull it up that when? Anytime?
I'm sure you can. I have not personally looked, so I don't know.
So 48 hours is the appropriate time for this particular.
Correct.
And that's the statute of the city?
That's correct.
And the public was just on notice for 48 hours to know. That's it, right?
Yeah, so we've provided.
Oh, these are questions
notice.
that some of the people who couldn't attend, who didn't know it was at 5 o'clock, who didn't know where it was. I'm just asking those questions.
Well, just please let them know that we intend to meet every Thursday up until for at least the next couple of weeks from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The location will be announced, so if they want to go to the city website to keep up with it, they can.
Thank you for transparent, because if they don't know where to go, and a lot of times the city websites are not functioning correctly on certain people Android phones, or some people don't have laptops in certain urban communities, so they won't know how to access that and know how to be here on time. So that was one of the questions when I was just in Whitehaven. They didn't know anything about anything. They were just saying, no, it wasn't up, it wasn't newspaper, it wasn't no. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, and let them know to come on Monday. We'll be here Monday too.
Oh, now they know about Monday. They just didn't know about certain schedule, because everyone doesn't have technology in certain urban communities. So thank you for being transparent.
Understood.
About that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Also, please leave your contact information for those groups that you're working with that are maybe disconnected from this. You'll get the information. You can be on the email list, and then you can cascade that out to those groups.
I do that, and I represent the Black Land Ownership of America, so I would definitely let some of the landowners know and homeowners know in those communities about the access information that you give. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you.
Anything else before we adjourn?